Today it is Friday, therefore we go into something that we consider light and fluffy, but not to the professionals that are here. They believe that what they espouse is divine logic. And few people will really admit to believing in astrology, but most of them do. We're going to have an astrologer on, and we're going to have on a numerologist. But first, will you greet Hassan Jaffer? He's an astrologer, born in Iraq a few years ago.
Not Iraq, Iran.
Iran. Oh, I'm sorry, Iraq, Iran. Yeah, they're all at war. The other day I said Flatbush instead of Brooklyn or whatever. Anyway, he was born in the Persian Gulf, and he's also an engineer. He is the astrological guide to some of the crown heads of Europe. Astrology has led him into all sorts of paths. Welcome, Hassan. Nice to see you again.
Hello, Tom.
You travel the world. You're going to Greece. You're going to you deal with royal families. Do you mean to say they all consult you as an astrologer or as an engineer?
Yes, they do. Well, actually, no. The engineering has not given me all that glamour. It's more astrology, I must say. And
but how can an engineer who deals in mathematical facts and truth go into this?
But mathematics, you see, is also one of almost like a divine science, you might say. Like many of the pure mathematicians do even believe that that actually leads them to the truth. So anybody who's got a good logic is not inhibiting. In Western society, they normally take logic as just purely scientific, which is continuously being revised. Whereas the logic that we are after, as I said, is not just man-made, but we observe the truths of nature.
The truth of nature. But how can a few moons and stars up there exert a pull on me?
Well, as an engineer, it bothers me that we do not know the answers. And I'm being frank, and this is one of the reasons that I do not
You're the first astrologer I've ever heard say that.
No, and that's one of the reasons I do not even belong to the astrological guild anywhere in the world. And it is my quest to find the real truth through astrology, why it works. I believe it's probably the magnetic field. It may have something. I'm sure it's not gravity, because if we were to go on Pluto, you'd weigh less than a postage stamp. So it couldn't be the gravity. But we know the Earth's field is induced by the sun. And also the sun induces the field in other planets. And as the planets are moving, the geomagnetism is constantly changing. And it does not require much energy for the chromosome crossovers. It's something which you cannot even... That's right. You know, at the time of conception, you can't even see the cell. The zygote, you know, at the time of birth. So it's possible, you know, there could be something at that time.
But Hassan Jaffer, there are millions of people who won't get out of, in this world today, who won't get out of bed, you know, unless their astrologer sort of tells them to. They won't get married, they won't make business deals. The third world, Asia, whatnot, full of astrologers.
It is true, but people are not really as dependent as others might think they are. No? They're very few. Like we know that the Queen Elizabeth, you know, every time she gets up in the morning and she reads a horoscope, and Prince Philip makes fun of her, but they do not really make major decisions by that. They do consult professional astrologers for the major decisions. That's
Hitler used to.
Yes, Ernst Kraft, he had a very good astrologer. As a matter of fact, Churchill had another astrologer to prove what Hitler's astrologer would say.
A man called John Manolesco.
That's true, yes.
Who was in California. I knew him well. Used to do a show with him. All right, very quickly, before we introduce Drew Garner. Politics. You look at politics. Jean Chrétien, John Turner, big battle. Always one going to unseat the other. You've done Chrétien's chart.
Well, I have Chrétien's chart, yes. I have not met him. I have done his chart, but I have not met him. Chrétien's chart is actually quite a strong chart, very much a dictatorial type of chart, actually.
He's
very
a
much
dictator.
like, yes, it's like Mao Zedong. It's a powerful chart.
Wow.
It's like Mao Zedong. It's also very much like Michael Manley of Jamaica. But these are the people who do want to reform. And the interest of the reform, they do have a touch of ruthless ability about them. And he does have very strong executive ability, and he's a very practical and down-to-earth person. He's not a dictator in the truest sense of the word, He's a practical dictator, if there's any word like that.
A
And in the
practical
West,
dictator. What about poor old John Turner? He's not having such a good time.
well, he's got planets at the very bottom of his chart, exactly opposite to John Chrétien. In John's case, in John Chrétien's chart, everything is going up, whereas in John Turner's case, it's just beginning, in his case, slowly. After about 1 or 2 years is when his real publicity starts. But neither one of them are really as good from the point of view of publicity as Brian Mulroney in the long run.
Brian Mulroney.
Yes.
He's the winner. He looks good.
That's right. As a matter of fact, his chart is almost identical to Einstein in some respects. They were both Pisces. They both had Mercury-Saturn conjunction Aries. He's quite strict. And as a leader, he does have leadership ability. The only thing is it's a bit dictatorial type also, like military dictatorship, that let's not argue, let's do it my way. He's not really a team player.
How about truthfulness?
Actually, in Brian Mulroney's case, as well as, they all have this aspect. You see, John Turner is the one who's truly objective. He's the one who can have conceptual ideas. He's the best in this respect.
He's creative. In other words, Mulroney doesn't have great philosophy behind him, political philosophy.
No, but he has very strong convictions.
Very strong convictions.
That's right.
Because, you know, the press, the evil press, says that Mulroney has a problem with credibility. Do you see anything there?
Well, that is a Pisces part. They always have this element. Anybody who is a Pisces, their ambitions are not really worldly in a material sense, and they do have this sort of a lost boy look about them. And
Lost boy look?
yeah, and there's certain things that they do. He has moon in Pisces and sun in
What does that
Pisces,
mean?
and well, it's a dual nature.
He's got a dual nature.
That's right. All Pisces.
I
is
mean,
like,
I've heard explanations it's because he's Irish. You know, an Irish...
no, the Irish side is his Mercury in Aries. That's a very strong, forceful mind. But what's interesting
But, I
is,
mean, Pisces, so it's sort of dual nature. He'll say one thing and then say another thing?
no, their goals will change. In his case, his goals will change. His mind, it doesn't change. It's very much like Trudeau. Trudeau was very much misunderstood also. He changed his viewpoint to suit the public sometimes, but that is, he never really changed his own mind. Very much like the Shah of Iran. They both had Mercury in Scorpio. As a matter of fact, I think half of Khomeini and half of Shah would have been a fantastic combination. They both had
Well, a lot
almost
of people
identical
say that
characters.
Mulroney and Mr. Trudeau are the same, and that's Monday's show, as a matter of fact.
It's a very strong difference because Trudeau was emotionally much more tenacious, that he would not neither forget nor forgive things easily for 6 years or 10 years. Whereas Brian Mulroney is not the type who can
He'll
undermine
forgive and
easily.
forget.
Much more so. He has Mercury in a fire sign, you see. All orators are born with it.
He's an orator. Yeah.
That's right.
All right.